Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 takeaways episode from the Steve Larsen interview that I posted this past Monday. If you guys listened to that interview, you know how fired up I was for that conversation because, like I told you, I took a challenge called the One Funnel Away Challenge. It's an online challenge run by ClickFunnels, run by Russell Brunson, and if you have any exposure to online entrepreneurship, then you know who Russell Brunson is because he is absolutely huge and it's an awesome challenge. And Steve Larsen is kind of his sidekick or was his sidekick. Now he kind of does a lot of his own stuff as well. And Steve Larsen's passion, his energy, and everything that he gives off is just so freaking motivating and fired me up. And I fell in love with him during the challenge. My brother fell in love with him doing the same challenge. And I was like so fired up to be able to do this interview because I felt like me and him were similar on a few wavelengths and the level of passion that we have for what we do. And I was just so excited to have him on. So the reason I say that is because if you haven't listened to the interview yet, make sure you go back and listen to it because it was absolute fire. And you guys need to make sure you follow him. His mindset towards things is just so unique. And I love his ability to put himself out there. And I'm not going to get, honestly, enough into that with my 3 takeaways. His superpower is being able to be himself the loudest. He's able to crank up his uniqueness to where people love following him. And I do too. So make sure you guys go back and listen to that interview. Also, I started a new Facebook community, a private Facebook community called Best You. So if you guys are not friends with me on Facebook, make sure you look up Nick Carrier, send me a friend request. If you want to be a part of the group, request to be part of the group, and I can also add you in as well. It's an awesome thing. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I don't really know why I haven't done it. It's because I kind of like thought I had to have a consistent stream of I'm posting this on this day, and stuff like that. But people have been asking me questions left and right about fitness goals, about different things like that, and it's been able to tell me what content to be able to produce. And so I want you guys to have access to that same thing. So if you want to be a part of the Best You private Facebook community, then shoot me a friend request, look it up, request approval, and I would love to have you as a part of it. But for now, let's get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1, probably my favorite, put your back against the wall intentionally. And this is something I talk about a decent amount, but we started off the interview talking about this because there's a story where his wife, every single time came home from school, they were married, and every time he came home from school, she was tired and laying in bed, and he was always like, "What's wrong?" And she would always say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm just tired, yada, yada, yada." And then after a little while, he finally got it out of her, and she said that she's only been eating 1 meal a day because they have no money. And he was like, holy crap. Like, that broke him down. And so he applied for a student loan, but it wasn't going to be able to come in for like 4 to 6 weeks. And so he had to ask his dad for money. He had never done that before. He hadn't been raised doing that before, but he asked his dad for money, but his dad said no. And his dad said no because, and this is exact quote, because you won't exhaust the resources that you didn't know you had. You got to hear that again. You won't exhaust the resources that you didn't know you had. You see, when you get your back put against the wall, the level of urgency that you feel is second to none. The level of action that you take is second to none. It is just a different kind of feeling that, like, holy crap, this is like life or death. You know, it's not always life or death technically, but your brain doesn't know that. Our brains are so primal to react in a life or death sort of way. So when we have our back against the wall, we're like, life or death, holy crap, let's move. We got to do something right now to make sure we don't die, right? And so he took a level of action that was second to none, and they figured it out. And I felt that way when I moved to Nashville. I quit my job after 2 weeks, and I realized I was only going to be making this much money, and I'm paying $1,220 in rent, and I'm not going to be able to cover that for 3 months down the road. I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do? And so that put my back against the wall, and that level of urgency that I took, the level of motivation that I had, the level of discipline that I had was unbelievable. So point being, if we can find ways to intentionally put our backs against the wall, it's going to force us into an environment that accelerates our growth, that accelerates our learning, that accelerates our ability to take action. So if you can find intentional ways to put your back against the wall, then it is the ultimate self-growth tool. Takeaway number 2 is save the people swimming towards you. I think he talked about a Navy SEAL talking about this principle, and the story was he was working for Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels, and he was in there on like a Saturday. He had been there for maybe 6 hours or so, and Russell comes in. He's like, "What are you doing in here?" And he's like, "Well, I've actually been answering emails for my business for the last 6 hours. And Russell is, let me give you a solution. Don't. And he was like, what? He's like, hold on, hang on. And he told the story about how the Navy SEAL was talking to this big group that Russell was at, and the Navy SEALs live by this principle where if you're flying in a helicopter and there's a bunch of people in the water and you can only save so many of them, who do you save? And they live by, you save the people swimming towards you. And so what that meant for business is one of the biggest practical ways to apply this takeaway is that people who don't know that they have a problem or they're not willing to help themselves, that's really it. They're not willing to help themselves. You don't want to spend so much time and so much energy trying to get people to help themselves, right? If they're already willing to help themselves and start to move your way, those are going to be a lot easier people to help, and you're not going to waste your time and energy, and you're not going to waste your resources on those people, and it's not the best, most efficient use of your time. A lot of times those people will come around, the people who are not swimming towards you right now, they will come around, they're going to have an epiphany moment where they realize they have this problem where they need you, but make sure that you don't waste your time and energy for the people who necessarily won't help themselves, and again, this is more business than anything else, and really spend the time and energy with the people that are swimming towards you. And then my third takeaway is swing more times than the next guy. This is something that is super key and something that I really, really believe in. And before I kind of get into the story here, or I'll just go ahead and dive in. He talks about the book called Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday. I've never read it. I already ordered it. Should be here in a couple days. He said in that book, he talks about a principle how honestly most successful musicians are the people who just put out the most music. It can be almost as simple as that. It's the people who put out the most music, the people who try the most times to put something out there and make it successful. And so Steve Larsen, it took him like 34 different funnels to create until one actually worked. And then another 46 after that. But he kept after it. He kept working. He kept learning from the feedback that he was getting every single time he tried. And same thing with the musicians. Like, put out more music because you're going to get more feedback as to if that was something that people kind of liked, if it was something they didn't like, why they liked it, why they didn't like it. The point is, keep putting stuff out there, whatever, especially if you're in entrepreneurship, keep taking action, keep throwing stuff on the wall, and something is going to stick at some point. I think that's one of the things that I'm relatively good at is I have such a bias towards action. So I try to throw a lot of stuff out there. I'm like, boom, boom, let's see what works. Let's see what sticks. Let's see what people like. Let's see what people don't like. And then get the feedback from there. But you have to swing. You have to swing or you're not going to get the feedback. And that's really the biggest reason why you have to swing more times than the next guy, because nobody's first attempt is going to work. For the most part. I was actually talking to my mentor last night, and he was like, most successful authors, their first book sucks. Their first book is not good, but they have to write the first one bad in order to make the next one or some book down the road good, right? You have to keep swinging. So again, guys, my 3 takeaways. Number 1, put your back against the wall intentionally, because you're going to feel a level of urgency. You're going to take a level of action that you never know you could take. And like Steve's dad said, you won't exhaust the resources that you didn't know you had. Takeaway number 2, save the people swimming towards you, especially in business. If the people aren't willing to help themselves, don't waste your time, don't waste your energy, don't waste your resources and money on those people. If the people are willing to help themselves and they're kind of starting to move towards you, those are the people that you serve. Takeaway number 3 is swing more times than the next guy, because you have to get feedback. Not the first time or the second time or the third time is meant to be successful. And with Steve's example, not the 33rd time is it going to be successful, but you never know when it's going to be, and you're going to get all the feedback and you're going to learn from it along the way. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 takeaways. Again, that was one of my favorite interviews I have ever done because of the level of energy he has, but also just the mindset that he has. It's unbelievable, and it was a ton of fun for me, so I hope it was fun for you guys to listen to. Make sure you go follow Steve Larsen on Instagram at Steve Larsen HQ. Awesome guy to follow. He posts some great stuff. He's actually working on building some stuff with his daughters right now at the time that I'm recording this, and just a great guy to follow. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 takeaways. I hope you enjoyed the Steve Larsen interview, and I hope that you put these into action, because they're the things that are going to get you closer and closer to your best you.